Jessica. Welcome. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Shaun?
Doing really well, thanks. Um, we've known each other quite a while now. I greatly appreciate you jumping on and yeah, talking about your experience with us. We always like to stay extremely, close to to our clientele and understand not just your experience with us, but how can we as an organization take a look into the future and uh, plan for what things are happening in real time, right? Like so these types of interactions are very important to us, and we're just greatly appreciative of you joining us today.
Well, I feel like it benefits us as customers when you guys get insights from us. It makes your platform even better. So I'm always willing to do it.
Absolutely. Great. So the revenue operations industry as a whole right now, I think is evolving rapidly, right? Rewind 5 years ago, 10 years ago, a lot of us were, managing out of spreadsheets, kind of like having our groove, as sales leaders and operations practitioners. A lot of what we were configuring was configuring how we can view data. Now, the, you know, industry that we're in is moving so fast that that data is readily accessible. Automation is taking great shape. With agentic AI workflows and things like that coming into play, it's such a brand new industry, and it seems like it's evolving so fast. What do you think about today's fate?
Yeah, I agree very much so because I feel like back in the day, 10, even 15 years ago, being in sales support, analytics, things like that, I always felt like it was a luxury to have someone who could do that. CROs and VPs of RevOps could always just do their own reporting and this and that. But in that time, we saw that it was not so much a luxury, but a necessity to have people to be able to do better forecasting, to guide with all of the revenue items. So I feel the same way that it's a necessity, but it's also very tedious and very difficult. So I see platforms like Aviso being very helpful, and not even in a way to take jobs away, but to make someone like me with my role do a better job so that I can focus on even other things when it comes to the RevOps team.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your life before Abiso. Like what types of things were you focused on, like specific revenue management challenges or day-to-day process challenges? Can you, elaborate a little bit on what life looked like before?
Yeah, it was all about analytics, right? I mean, and Salesforce was the king of the hill. So being a Salesforce admin was beneficial, but also kind of stressful because there was a lot of limitations when it came to Salesforce. Now, keep in mind, before Aviso, I was convinced I can do anything in Salesforce, but the lift was always going to be heavy. I knew that working with dashboards and reports and even the forecast portion of Salesforce was very clunky and difficult to work with and difficult to set up. It's there, but it wasn't an easy lift, right? And especially when you are working in a RevOps team that works seamlessly with our marketing team, our sales team, customer support team, and beyond, right? So for me, dealing with Salesforce, exporting reports into Excel so that we can manipulate the data to do the things that we really needed it to do. Before Aviso, it was so much more time consuming. I was creating templates so that I can download reports in, so that I can save all my really difficult formulas that I was utilizing when it came to sum ifs and range formulas and things like that. So being able to get a lot of this without having to do a lot of exporting of reports and stuff like that in Aviso has been a huge benefit for me personally and for the organization that I work with.
Yeah, I can imagine. Those were the days when your, CEO or CRO would come to you and say, "Hey, how are we doing on this statistic?" Right? And the first thought was, "How do I have that report?" The second was, how do I configure a report if I don't have it? Third was, okay, does it give the right output? Right? And it becomes a very manual process, and it's like, "Hey, let me get back to you on that." Right?
Yeah.
And so today is just a new age where things like that, can be built on automation. Agentic AI workflows can really support in these types of areas. when you think about joining Aviso, like what was your, exploration process? Like what were some of the criteria that, that you might have been looking for, in systems like this?
Yeah. Well, I will say that I have a benefit myself personally. My VP of RevOps that I work with now, he has been my partner in crime for many years and many companies. We've kind of moved along together. So he has always been very innovative when it comes to tools and being able to utilize all the different technology that's out there. He keeps very in the know when it comes to uh, new things that are on the market, right? So when I joined that team, he was already vetting some tools to use when it came to forecasting because there was a need for forecasting faster, better, and utilizing AI at the time, right? And so when I first came in, it was kind of the same time. And so I was convinced that we didn't need an extra platform for forecasting. Again, it was a difficult lift, but it was a doable lift. And I knew that I can do some stuff in Salesforce to kind of help with that challenge. But thinking back now, I don't think I would have been able to come up with anything that was sustainable like Aviso would have been. And I don't know if you remember, Shaun, but it was very quickly that I went from happy eyes to rock star eyes when it comes to the smart transcript that you showed us, because I was very impressed from the first demo that I saw with Aviso. And I saw there were a lot of gaps that I didn't even think about when it came to Salesforce. Being able to see the history of main key features like forecasting or stage, it's very clunky to be able to do something like that in Salesforce. And with Aviso, it's always been just a click of another tab right on the deal. So being able to see a bunch of gaps that Salesforce wasn't able to deliver on and still hasn't been able to deliver on without a lot of background building when it comes to that stuff has been very eye-opening. And so for me, I was quickly won over.
It's amazing. And so there's a lot of tools in the space now. There's a lot of companies out there that are buying for your attention, right? What what were some of the main reasons in which Viso caught your attention and became your choice?
Well, I have to say, Aviso has been very innovative when it comes to AI. I did not have any sort of background, 5 years ago when it came to a lot of AI. Obviously, AI is everywhere now, but I mean, I feel like we really got in right at the beginning, and being able to be one of the, an older customer for you has been not only a good relationship for us, but has been a benefit for us to be able to utilize such a tool. So, during today's AI craze, I feel like I've got a leg up and some more experience than the average systems admin. But I will say that some of the features that definitely caught my eye in the beginning was being able to forecast easily. I mean, it's almost like turnkey. Having a VSO kind of connect to your Salesforce and be able to take time and read historical data. Now, I can see if you're first getting into Salesforce and you don't have a lot of history, but you're not going to find a lot of customers nowadays that don't have a CRM that have a lot of their historical information. So Aviso being able to kind of get a leg up and read that historical data and kind of hit the ground running as soon as you turn it on is such a benefit. You can see how well your reps do with the deals that they already have. It takes the benefit of knowing how those specific deals usually turn when it comes to stages, how long it's in each stage. So being able to do a lot of that automated rather than, like you said, doing a lot of reports or dashboards to kind of figure those things out. That was really eye-opening for me. And it's continued to be a good benefit for us here at this company now, too.
It's amazing. Yeah, I mean that the whole concept of time to value, is important for, for many folks. A lot of people think that when buying software, it's going to take 3, 6, 9 months before you're able to see, return on that investment, or, significant improvements, right? Thank you for, the comment around, having this be turnkey. I think that's, an important uh, delivery for us. I'm glad we were able to do that for you. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey? Like, how has your journey evolved over the past few years with us?
Yeah. Well, there's two different parts to the journey, right? There's my relationship with Aviso and there's my relationship with my own organization. And so I'd say that if I had to quantify the positive and the negative aspects, I'd say I've had more of a positive journey with Aviso that I have with trying to turn my own sales reps onto new tools, which I think everybody in my position knows that sales reps are not easily swayed when it comes to new tools and the headaches that come with learning how to do things differently. But I will say when it comes to my relationship with Aviso and how I have grown with you all and my AE, Zoha, and um, being so close with the my customer success people here, it's been nothing short of a pleasure. Like I have to say that Aviso has really tarnished every other platform's customer success because I feel like my relationship with Zoha and with Aviso is top notch. Anytime I have any suggestion, the turnaround to implement the flexibility that Aviso has is outstanding. And even with things that I don't think that they'll be able to do, um, it, it's something that they reflect on, they get back to me with information, and then they implement it. And again, like I said at the beginning of this, it's really a benefit for you guys because then all of a sudden a new feature comes along, and that could have been something that somebody else asked for that we didn't know was possible, but you guys made it happen. So my relationship with Aviso and my customer success person has been top of the line. With getting my organization to utilize the tool, it's been an up and down situation. But if I were to have to give any sort of advice when it comes to someone in my position who's steadfast in going with a new tool for them to use, whether or not they are willing to go with it, I would say you should really be firm when it comes to a lot of the asks that you have and with your trainings, right? So, for instance, here at Nextech, we started with one CRO and he was a great guy and he wanted the platform a certain way, but he didn't push people to utilize it as much as we wanted to. Then we recently, at the beginning of this year, got a new CRO and he had experience using forecast tools in the past. And so we now have weekly forecast calls where we utilize Aviso 100%, and the adoption has jumped. And I frequently get sales reps reaching out to me telling me how much easier it is to use the Aviso platform rather than the spreadsheets that they were using before, and how it helps keep their hygiene better in Salesforce as well. And it really makes me very happy to hear that because it's something that we've been trying to make. It's something like, for instance, I know that it'll benefit them, that Aviso will benefit them, and they didn't realize it yet. And now they're starting to see it, and I'm starting to get my acclamations. So that feels really good.
Yeah, that's amazing. You know, one thing that I've seen, across a variety of client relationships and even my experience overall for the past 10, 20 years, you get sales reps, you get sales managers, you get CROs that, that are very ingrained in the way that they do business. And so if you have a pivotal business moment where, you change a leader or, you bring on new reps or, these types of things really create a lot of, pause in the business, right? It's like, how do we get over this hurdle or this speed bump? Um, when you're looking at, these inflection points, if you will, what do you think the aha moment is for either a new rep using a Visa for the first time or, the CRO getting in and getting an insight that they've not been able to achieve before? Like, where are those aha moments that you see?
Well, I definitely see them with a lot of the managers because they have such a hands-on take when it comes to their reps. Someone like the VP of each team goes to their managers and they're getting the feedback from the managers themselves. But on a manager level, being able to do their one-on-ones out of Aviso, kind of like what we do on our forecast call with our CRO in front of everybody, I think that has been a huge benefit for them because they've seen, a lot of people who work out of Salesforce or a CRM, there's lots of different ways that you can manage your pipeline and your forecasting, right? And so some people use views, some people use reports, some people create a whole home screen that will show them what they need to do. But when it comes to Aviso, it's such an easy platform to go into and kind of manage those things as they go, right? So for me, I think that being able to have such an organized layout where you can easily click into either details, recommendations, things like that. I think that those things have been very beneficial for my sales reps and for my managers. And then rolling up to even my VP and my CRO is definitely super curious with the whole platform and comes to me often and asks if I know about some of the features that we have in Aviso. So that's been a very positive experience too.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I mean, of course I have some inside knowledge on on how your journey's been here, but you started off like you said with forecasting and kind of like outlining process, but your experience has grown with us, right?
Yeah.
And what are some of the key features that you have adopted, like from forecasting, getting into conversation intelligence, getting into sales engagement and things of that nature? Like, tell me about some of these features and like what was your path to to adopt on some of these?
Yeah. So I would say the quickest adoption I had was to the conversation intelligence piece, right? Getting our meetings in there with the summaries and the action items and being able to see sentiment and things like that has always been super successful within my team. Sometimes that was, very basically some of the only things that my reps were looking at, but it got them in the platform and it got them moving around, right? So that's always been a positive. And then, of course, the forecasting, being able to do our forecast calls out of Aviso has gotten them used to being able to navigate around the forecasting, whether it's on their forecasting page, their deals page, or on the deals detail page, right? So I'd say that has been a great success too now for us, has been utilizing that. Recently, we purchased the sales engagement portion of Aviso, and we vetted a bunch of other companies, the main players out there like SalesLoft and Outreach. And let me tell you, I really feel like from the get-go that we were really interested in what Aviso could offer with that. Obviously, bringing one platform to start with leads and move on. We're even my CRO is very interested in some of the customer success items that are in Aviso as well. So hopefully he can get with our customer success vice president and they can move along that process for us. But as much as we can utilize Aviso 4 as a one-stop shop, it's going to be beneficial for us. So it's such a pleasure to be working with one platform that can do multiple things.
One word that stuck out to me through your description there was curious, right? When you all of a sudden get access to such a comprehensive type system, you become very curious. This deal has scored under what I thought as a seller it would it would score as. Why? Right? What does it see that I don't see? Oh, something in the conversation, or some email that we received that had like a negative sentiment or negative tone to it, or maybe an objection, or maybe a concern around pricing, or things that typically derail our sales processes, right? And that ability to, yes, have your way in which you've been successful in the past, but be curious about, what am I missing? I think the best reps and the best leaders, are inquisitive. They're curious. They go in and they try and figure out what's right or wrong, and have this kind of inherent level of skepticism. Like, is this deal really going to close? Are these just, are we juggling, like balls in the air, or is it just air, right? Most leaders, when they're looking down at the pipeline, always have this question or this concern.
Yeah, well, I think that it's really the benefit of Aviso is that all of that is right there. It's not something extra that they have to do. So while I'm pushing my team to go in and do forecasting and pipeline management, seeing a recommendation, whether it's off base or not, just having that guidance that's outside, that second set of eyes that's not going to mark you down on any sort of performance review. I keep telling my reps personally, there's nothing against, it takes 1 or 2 seconds just to kind of read what the Aviso win score shows and see some of those recommendations that it tells you about. Now, of course, Aviso can't see phone calls, so it might not realize that you're actually calling the customer or texting with them unless you're connected that way. But to be able to see something like that and to, quickly be able to assess what is beneficial to them as the sales reps regarding those deals, it's all right there at their fingertips. So for me, I think it's a win-win situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, what kind of insights pop out to you? So let's go to revenue operations here for a second. What are some of the insights that you get from the platform? How do you dig in and help your team become more successful?
Yeah, so for me, I really appreciate a lot of the analytics and the trending items. I try to keep myself and my CRO and my VP of Revenue Ops in the know as easily as possible when it comes to some of the things that are trending, whether or not the AI forecasting is accurate when we're looking back at past quarters, months, and even down by segment into reps, right? And so for me, a big part of that has been the analytics information and the trending. I really love the sand key reports that I can see, and I like to call them spaghetti reports because it really it gives a really great visual of how things move from stages or from forecast categories throughout the time frame that you're looking at. So I would say that for me personally, what I like to point out to my CRO, since we have weekly forecast calls, is I like to remind him about some of the items that we had discussed a lot on those calls in previous months or previous quarters that were pushed out, maybe brought down, so that we can kind of pinpoint where we maybe lost some traction and what we can do about that. So I find that when he is in the know about a lot of that stuff, when we're on the calls and he mentions, oh, I remember this deal from last quarter. You had a lot of hope for this. What happened here? It lets the rep know that not only is the CRO really engaged with the numbers and the how things are committed and moving along through the forecast categories, but he's committed to them on a deal by deal, rep by rep basis, and they feel seen and heard. And so I would say that at the beginning of our forecast calls, it might have been a stressful situation for the reps to be almost like called out weekly with their deals. It has really changed into I'm not being called out as much as I'm being asked if I need help here. So, and that was a quick transition too, because our CRO is very hands on. So for me, I think that being able to utilize those Sankey charts and the analytics and the trend has been very beneficial for not only our CRO to see those things, but for our sales reps to see that they're being seen and heard.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, when CROs take an active role and it becomes less confrontational and less, hand slapping, right? And it becomes more supportive, that relationship between CRO and, and frontline leader, or leader and frontline rep, right, becomes a lot more natural. Like reps feel more comfortable saying, hey, this is what I'm seeing. And maybe even coming to the leader and saying, hey, here's what I see because of the last conversation, the last email, the single threaded versus multi-threaded. And now they have a plan, right? They're coming and asking for support rather than, the management coming down and, and looking over the shoulder as big brother. It's great.
Yeah. And, I'm seeing a lot of engagement too, even from my VP of sales, because when reps aren't available for those forecast calls, they have to update their managers or their VPs so that we can talk to some of these items while they're gone. And they're using the Aviso comments and notes section to utilize being able to quickly answer to what those items are. And they, being able to jump in at the drop of a hat. I mean, I will go in myself and show the dog tags where it shows things have moved up or down. And a lot of times people will say, oh, I had moved that. I don't know why it's showing that way. And then I can refresh and see in the dog tag that it moved today. So while we were on the call. So not only does it help in positive ways, but it's starting to help in ways almost like coaching, where it's like I see a lot more people are getting prepped before the call versus going through the call at the time. And I think that's beneficial for them as well.
That's amazing. Let's shift gears a little bit. Talk to me about the support that you received from Aviso. Like,
Oh my goodness.
let me know your impression of our customer support.
I mean, I said it before and I'll say it again. It's the new gold standard when it comes to support. When I was vetting with some of the other companies for the sales engagement platforms, I had mentioned that I meet with Aviso on a weekly basis, and I got looks like, why do you have to talk to these people so often? And I was like, I enjoyed that. We're constantly talking about new features. Sometimes we might not need to meet and we can cancel, and that's not a big deal. But I feel like your forecasting platform is a huge, huge platform that you're running your whole business off of. So the fact that 3 years in, I'm still meeting with my customer success person on a weekly basis is not only a benefit, it's also a luxury that you guys offer. And I can't thank you guys enough. I always feel like I have ideas on what could be something that could support us a little bit better. And I will constantly reach out to Zoha. And I think, Shaun, every time I've ever wanted to look at a different tool, whether it's, a commissions tool or this tool, I'm always reaching out to you first to see if it's something you guys offer, just because I want to be able to keep my relationship constant and consistent and be able to continue to grow on this platform for our customer, for our business as well. So the customer support that I've received with Aviso has just ruined it for the rest of the platforms.
Thank you so much. Those are very kind words.
Yes.
All right. Well, to summarize this conversation, what advice would you give those that are either looking for the first time at systems like this, or have tried all the other systems and have a malaise of different ad hoc solutions or point solutions in their stack? Like, how would you advise them to look at not just Aviso, but
Mhm.
systems like this as a whole?
Well, I would say that, and I know I sound very flattering for Aviso right now, but it's just because I feel like Aviso had their start where it was the most important, right? So you've got platforms like like sales engagement, right? And that is a very important platform, and we're needing it right now, and we are implementing it as we speak. But it's not what you're running your whole organization off of, right? Um, the forecast, being able to go with a company that started solely as a forecasting tool to begin with is a huge leg up, because you guys put all of your focus and your um, assets into a very hardy and very important portion of a RevOps team, right? So for me, knowing that you perfected, or at least came as close as possible to perfecting that portion of it while growing in other areas, was super important. Also, the customer engagement and the collaboration workspace areas where, you know, you guys are right at the top of the list, even though you're flying under the radar. I wish that you guys had the notoriety of something like a Gong or something, because you guys are right up there, and I vetted them as well. And I was very impressed with them because they reminded me of you guys so much. So for me, it's kind of a no-brainer when it comes to going with this tool as your forecasting tool. But I would say that being able to utilize to the AI like you guys have, and being able to add in things to the platform like recommendations, like the win score, like engagement with your customers, like asking Mickey and all of those items, being able to utilize and expand your AI portion of it, it's where everybody is now, and you guys have been doing it since the get. So,
Well, that's amazing. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate all of your feedback over the years, your, continued press on success. And, I love the fact that you give us, a call and say, hey, do you do this? We're about to change this system in our business. You know, does Aviso offer this solution, or where does Aviso support this solution? And we've had some really, really organic conversations. So number one, I greatly appreciate our relationship, as a client, you've been extremely vocal and extremely helpful for Aviso. So we want to say thank you to you as well.
oh, no problem. Thank you.